Hello Kitty Queens and Kitty Beauty Tees. I'm finally back with another client tutorial. As y'all can see, I created this bomb look and we're just about to step into it. As y'all can see, I have a new model, and fun fact about my model, she actually has her own YouTube channel and she makes music as well, so I will have her information in the description box down below if any of y'all are interested in following her. But as you can see, I went ahead and cleaned off her face. Now I'm taking my eyebrow archer and I'm using it to quickly clean up her brows. Now that her brows are nice and clean, I'm going to proceed to outlining them / filling them in. And to do so, I'm using my Nicka K eyebrow pencil, and this one is in the shade black. Since I'm using a black eyebrow pencil, I really went in very light-handed with this because I didn't want it to be too dark or too harsh. So if you decide to use black, just make sure you have a very light touch. Once I've created a crisp outline, I like to fill in the brows starting at the back and working my way to the front. And I also like to brush through them as I go, just to make sure my product doesn't build up and that they don't look too harsh and everything is well blended. Now that the brows are completely filled in, this is what they're looking like. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean them up. And to do so, I'm using my Nicka K concealer along with my RK by Kiss concealer. First, I'm going in with my Nicka K concealer and I'm using it to clean up under her arch. Once I've created a crisp line underneath her arch, I'm just going to go ahead and buff out the concealer. Then for the remainder of the way, I'm just going to be using that RK by Kiss concealer in the color Toast. Now that the bottom of her brows is clean, I'm going to be taking that same RK by Kiss concealer and I'm using it to clean up the top. As y'all can see, we have one eyebrow complete, nice and clean. I just want y'all to look at the side-by-side comparison, okay? It's real. But we're about to go ahead and clean up this other side, and I'm just gonna follow the same technique. This is what the brows are looking like. Last but not least, I'm going to take my Derma Blend translucent powder, and I'm going to use this to set the front of her brows slash lighten it up a little bit so you can see more of the ombre effect. For an eyeshadow base, I'm using my Bperfect eyeshadow primer, and I went ahead and applied it all over her lids. Now I'm just buffing it out using that same buffing brush that I used to buff out her eyebrows. To start the eyeshadow off, I'm going to be taking this dark brown and packing it on the outer edge of her eye. If you have the Jaclyn Hill x Morphe palette, this would be the second darkest shade in the palette. So just use whatever dark brown you can find. But once I have it packed on her eye, I'm going to take this warm tone brown. It's like a reddish brown, and I'm going to be using this as my transition. And as you can see, I'm just applying it using this fluffy blending brush. And then I'm going to go back in with that dark brown shade, and I'm using it to blend out the edges. I'm going back in with that reddish brown shade, and I'm going to make sure I bring it up towards the front of her eyebrows, just because I am going to be cutting the crease, so you want to make sure all your eyeshadows are visible once the crease is cut. Now I'm just going to follow that same routine on the other side. To cut her crease, I'm going to be using my e.l.f. Camo Concealer in the shade Fair Rose. And y'all know I absolutely love this concealer. This is my favorite thing to cut the crease with. You can also use this as an eyeshadow base. It works perfect for that as well. But as y'all can see, I'm just going ahead and cutting her crease. And to do so, I like to use a small flat brush just to make sure my cut crease is as precise and round as possible. So I'm just going to shut up and let y'all watch. So I feel like I have my shape as perfected as possible. I just go ahead and buff out the concealer. Both eyes have been cut and this is what they're looking like. So I'm just going to begin to apply the eyeshadows. First I'm going in with this mint green shade. It showed up mint green in the palette, but on the eyes it looks turquoise, but I didn't really know what color scheme I wanted to follow, so I decided to apply this shade in the middle of her cut crease and just go off that. As you can see, I'm holding up her eyes just to make sure I get this color right in the nook and crannies, okay? Right up in there. Now I'm taking this purple shade and I'm just blending it on the outer edge of her eye, and I mixed this with a little bit of violet, like a lighter purple, just to make sure that it had a nice ombre into the first shade that we use. Now I'm taking this neon green shade, and y'all, this color was so popping, but I'm just applying it in front of the first eyeshadow that we used. And all the eyeshadow palettes that I use for this tutorial will be in the description box down below, so if you're interested in any of these eyeshadows, just check the description box. But after that, I'm gonna take this brown shade and I'm just gonna blend it into the purple. The inner corner of her eye, I went in with a shimmering violet eyeshadow mixed with a little bit of a metallic white, and I just applied it there. Now I'm lining her eyes, and to line them I'm using my Wet n Wild black liquid liner. And y'all, I wanted to line her eyes with a brown liner, but my brown liner had dried out, so since I'm using black, I did not want it to be too dark at all. So as you can see, I'm basically using it to line her eyes. I didn't really use it to fill in. Instead, I just took an angle brush and I dragged down some of the liner and just used it to fill it in, if that makes any sense. Like, I didn't go in with another coat, basically. This look, I wanted to have a glitter liner, so I'm taking this brown glitter, y'all. I bought this out of Hobby Lobby. It's just a random brown glitter, and I'm just going to be applying this on top of her liner. I already went in with an adhesive off camera, so I'm just taking that angle brush and using it to stamp the glitter on her eye. Before we get into the foundation routine, I'm cleaning the glitter off her face using tape. This is like the best technique you can use to clean off glitter. As y'all can see, it's so quick and so easy. Then I'm going to be taking some makeup remover and I'm going to be using it to clean any fallen eyeshadow as well as any leftover glitter from her face. I moisturized her skin off camera, so now I'm just going to prime her face using my calamine lotion. As y'all can see, that's the brand I like to use. I like to use the Walgreens brand, but I'm just stamping this on her face using this cosmetic sponge. Y'all, I like doing this technique now because it just makes a nice even thin layer, like, and I can work it into every spot so I don't have to worry about oiliness. For foundations, I'm going to be using my Fit Me foundations in the shades 375 and 368. First, I'm going in with shade 368, and I'm going to be taking this over majority of her face. So I'm just applying it to her face using this flat brush. Now I'm going in with the shade 375 and I'm just applying this to the lower regions of her face. To blend everything out, I'm just going to be using this dense foundation brush. As I told y'all earlier in the video, I'm doing a brush video very soon, so please do not comment asking me where I get any of these brushes from, because I will not respond. I told y'all a video is coming soon, so please just be patient and bear with me. Now that the foundation has been fully worked in, I'm just going to go over everything using my Real Technique sponge just to make sure everything is well blended. Then I'm going to be highlighting her face, and to highlight I'm using my Nicka K concealer, and this one is in the shade 09. To blend out the concealer, I'm going to be going back in with that foundation brush and just pressing everything in place. I like to save the under eyes for last, so I'm just going to let that concealer sit, and while it's sitting I'm just going to proceed to contouring her face. So to contour, I'm using my Juvia's Place foundation stick, and this one is in the shade Congo. As y'all can see, I applied it pretty low onto her face, but she has pretty low cheekbones or jawbones, whatever you want to call it, but I applied it low, but I made sure I blended up. So if you have a client that has a low bone structure, just make sure you blend up, because if you blend down it's gonna look like a beard and you don't want that. Last but not least, I'm gonna go ahead and do her under eyes. So as you can see, I'm just applying some more concealer directly under her eyes. Then I'm gonna blend everything out using my Real Technique sponge. I don't know if y'all can tell or not, but I went ahead and contoured her nose. I feel like I always contour the nose off camera just because I like to be directly in my client's face when I do that, because I don't want them to have a crooked nose, okay? Like, that's just not cute. Now that everything has been blended out, I'm just going back in with my Real Technique sponge just to make sure that it's all pressed in before I set it. And to set the highlighted areas, I'm going to be using my Fit Me pressed powder in the shade Toffee. My model has pretty oily skin, so I'm making sure I really press this powder in. And she also gets smile lines, so that's why I'm really pressing it in around her mouth as well. I'm taking whatever powder is left on the sponge and I'm using it to set her nose. You don't want to take too much powder because then it'll cover up the nose contour and that's just not what you want. Now I'm taking my Black Radiance pressed powder in the shade Black Coffee and I'm using it to set her contour. Last but not least, I'm going in with another Black Radiance powder in the shade Rich Mahogany, and I'm just using this to set around the remaining areas of her face. As I told y'all, she does have pretty oily skin, so I'm making sure I really set with those powders, okay? I didn't want to see any type of oils anywhere. So once I'm finished with that, I'm taking my Fenty loose powder and I'm just applying this to all the highlighted areas of her face, and I'm making sure I press it into the smile lines as well. Now I'm taking some black gel liner and I'm using it to line her waterline, and I only took this liner halfway, and I did this because it made her eyes look nice and almond shaped, like it made them point up a little bit, and that's what I liked. Now I'm taking some eyeshadow and I'm actually using it as a blush, but as y'all can see, it was a nice color, real cute, real subtle. And then I'm gonna go back in with that foundation brush and I'm using it to press in any of the powder that I have resting on her face. For lashes, I decided to go in with these fluffy 20mm lashes. I purchased these from AliExpress, but to apply them, I'm just pulling up her eye and sticking them on. I like to pull up her eye just because I don't know if this happens to y'all, but it happens to me a lot. I have the eyeliner so precise, and then when I apply the lashes, it's like it'll go crooked. Then I'll have to go back in with some eyeliner, and I wanted to avoid that for this video, so I just decided to pull up her eye to make it a little bit easier for me. Once the lashes have been applied, I'm just going to cover up her eyes and spray some setting spray onto her face. I like to cover up the eyes whenever I do a matte eyeshadow, because if I don't, the setting spray will mess up the eyeshadow, and like I told y'all, I'm trying to avoid all mess ups. Now I'm taking an eyeshadow and I'm just applying it onto the tip and the bridge of her nose to highlight it. If you know me, then you know I love using eyeshadows as highlighters. Like, if you haven't did it, just try it and I promise you'll like it. But as you can see, I'm just applying that eyeshadow onto her face as well. As y'all can see, that highlight is popping. Okay, it's popping, baby. So last but not least, it's time to do her lips, and y'all know I love me a good old ombre lip. So I'm just taking this dark brown eyebrow pencil and I'm using it to line her lips. And I did her bottom lashes off camera, y'all. That's why she's looking up, because we had to let the mascara dry. So as y'all can see, I like to outline the lips first and then go back in and fill in the corners, since I am doing an ombre lip. For the center of her lips, I decided to go in with this lip gloss from Absolute New York. You can find it at your local beauty supply store. I believe it's in the color nude. And I'm just working this in the center. Then I'm going to take whatever excess lip gloss is left on the applicator, and I'm just going to apply it directly on top of the lip liner. Now that I'm finished with her lips, this is basically the finished look, and we're about to step into the grand reveal, so I'm just gonna let y'all watch.
Ready to see?
Oh my god.
Okay.
It's so pretty. Like
Spring. That's what it's giving.
Spring has
very
sprung.
much. Okay.
Spring has sprung. Have sprung.
Okay.
Yes.
It is so good. Period.
As y'all can see, this tutorial was a success. She loved this look so much, and these are the end result videos that I got on my phone. If you would like to see more content from this look, feel free to visit my Instagram. The link will be in the description box down below. Don't forget to follow her social media as well. All her links will be in the description box. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and make sure you stay tuned for my next one. Bye bye.